If I could travel back in time to see you on March 26, 2025, a day before the Dodgers took on the Cubs in Tokyo for the first game of the 2025 MLB season, and I told you that the LA Dodgers were going to win the World Series again this year, you would have likely said,
"That sounds about right."
The Dodgers winning back-to-back titles was on paper certainly not a surprise, as they were the betting favorites to do exactly that, since their lineup really only got better since they raised the trophy in front of the Yankees faithful on October 30th, 2024. An easier thing to do when you virtually have no budget. And the Dodgers kind of made things look easy, until, if I traveled back in time to see you again and asked you to guess who that formidable foe would be, you'd have probably said, oh, the stacked Phillies lineup finally bested them.
No.
Then the big bad Yankees loaded up at the deadline and exacted their revenge. The Colorado Rockies came out of nowhere and suddenly became the best team in baseball?
Hell no!
I'm kidding. Not even the most casual baseball fan would predict anything positive from that listless franchise. Realistically, I could give you a dozen more guesses, and you likely wouldn't have come up with what actually happened. The Dodgers absolutely steamrolled through the National League portion of the MLB postseason, including a sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers in the NLCS, where their pitching staff pitched to an insane combined ERA of 1. Oh, and Shohei Ohtani casually clubbed 3 home runs and pitched 6 scoreless innings in the same game. It wasn't until the World Series that the magical run Blue Jays finally put them, aside from maybe Yoshinobu Yamamoto, to the test, pushing them so far to the brink that the Dodgers were 2 outs away from not going back-to-back until one man hit their biggest home run of the season. I'd once again travel back in time to tell you it's not MVP Shohei Ohtani, not 2024 World Series MVP Freddie Freeman, not 7-time Silver Slugger Mookie Betts, and not even All-Stars Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, or Max Muncy. It was Miggy Rowe. And you'd say, who? 36-year-old defense-first utility infielder Miguel Rojas. Yes, this guy did this with nobody on and 1 out, and with his team trailing by 1 in the 9th inning of Game 7 of the World Series. That hit now ranks 12th all-time in cWPA at 34.91%, surpassing even Joe Carter's World Series winning home run in 1993. What is cWPA? It's a measure built off of WPA, but rather than solely measuring a play's impact on winning a game, it calculates how much that play increases the chances of a team winning the World Series, which is about as epic as a play can get. What's even more incredible is that hit may rank 12th all time, but 2 of the plays ahead of it are from the same World Series game. Will Smith's go-ahead home run in the top of the 11th and Mookie Betts' game-ending double play later that inning both score higher. But in this video, I want to focus on Rojas' big shot, because A, neither of those would have occurred had he not done this first, and B, the fact that he, of all the guys on that stacked Dodgers team, is the one that did it. So let's take a bit of the deep dive into the journeyman's now 12-year MLB level career, the facts and stats that made him doing what he did so unlikely, and we'll even break down the particular at-bat that will forever cement him in LA Dodgers and Major League Baseball history. Miguel Elias Rojas was undrafted but signed as a 16-year-old by the Cincinnati Reds out of Venezuela as an amateur international free agent on November 24, 2005. Upon signing, Rojas would play for the Reds affiliates in both the Venezuelan and Dominican summer leagues before getting moved to their domestic rookie class affiliate. Despite displaying a steady glove all over the infield, Rojas struggled to show much promise at the plate, and as a result was relatively slow to work his way through the Reds farm system. After the 2012 season, the Reds cut ties with the now 23-year-old, but Rojas signed as a minor league free agent with the Los Angeles Dodgers, spending all of 2013 with the team's AA affiliate, the Chattanooga Lookouts, again flashing the leather at both shortstop and second, but struggling to break through at the plate, slashing .233, .303, .307. In 2014, he received a non-roster invite to spring training and hit an impressive .387 in limited action, but found himself optioned to AAA to start the season. After slashing .302, .353, .434, and still playing standout defense over 51 games, Rojas got his call to the show on June 6, 2014. And made his debut that same day as a defensive replacement for Hanley Ramirez at shortstop in the bottom of the 8th. Despite his defensive pedigree through the minors, Rojas would let the nerves of his debut get to him as he committed an error in that first inning of his career. That, lucky for him, turned out to be inconsequential in a 7-2 Dodgers win. Miggy Rowe would struggle throughout his time with the Dodgers in 2014, slashing .181, .242, .221 in limited action over 85 games, and found himself traded to the Miami Marlins on December 10th, along with D. Gordon and Dan Herron for prospects Andrew Heaney, Chris Hatcher, Austin Barnes, and Kike Hernandez. It was with the Marlins between 2015 and 2022 that Rojas would start to see more regular playing time. and in 2019 really cemented himself as the team's everyday shortstop. His defense would shine, with him picking up a Gold Glove nomination at the position in both the shortened 2020 and the 2022 campaign, where he put up an impressive 10 OAA, outs above average. Miggy would also show flashes of offensive promise when he hit a career-high 11 home runs in 2018 and a career-high 137 hits in 2019, but also had the lowest isolated power in the entire National League amongst all qualified hitters that same season. On January 11th, 2023, he was traded back to the Dodgers in exchange for minor league infielder Jacob Amaya in what was initially seen as a depth move. But Rojas found his way into 125 games that season, thanks in large part to the season-ending injury that Gavin Lux experienced during spring training. Miggy Rowe played his usual stellar defense at short, but failed to wow yet again with the bat, slashing .236, .290, .322 with 5 home runs. As a now 35-year-old entering the 2024 season, and with Mookie Betts making the move to shortstop, Rojas officially transitioned to a leadership and depth role with the Dodgers, seeing a good portion of his playing time as a defensive replacement all over the infield, unless injuries dictated otherwise. Rojas still found his way into 4 of the Dodgers' playoff games en route to their 8th World Series title in 2024, and 8 of the team's postseason games in 2025, starting at second in 3 of them, including Game 7 of the World Series. Which leads me perfectly into the first point of the next section to this video: what made him, doing what he did, so unlikely. Had Andy Pages not been literally unplayable with his .078 average through the team's first 15 postseason games, yes, the same guy that hit .272 with 27 home runs in the regular season, Miguel Rojas would not have even been playing in World Series Game 7. Although a quick kudos to Pages for still leaving his mark on the championship win when, according to StatCast, he traveled 121 feet at 29.2 feet per second to bowl over Kike Hernandez and rob Ernie Clement of a World Series winning hit in the bottom of the 9th. So Pages' poor play helped get Rojas in the lineup. Now let's see just how unexpected his home run really was. As I've alluded to at various points earlier in the video, Miggy Rowe has never been heralded for his power. While his 7 home runs in the 2025 regular season were the 3rd highest total of his career, he still only hit 7. And he hadn't hit 1 since September 19th, when he took a Robbie Ray fastball deep to left. Prior to that, he hadn't hit 1 since July, so you can't say his power stroke was firing on all cylinders coming into Game 7. Power aside, until Game 6 of the World Series, Rojas wasn't really playing much outside of as a defensive replacement late in games. His last hit before the 2 he picked up in Game 7 came an entire month earlier in Game 2 of the wildcard round against the Cincinnati Reds. Not only that, but of the 3 hits he had in that brief 2-game set, 2 of them were weak flares to the opposite field, and 1 was an infield single. All still hits deserving of plenty of credit given how tough hitting is at the major league level, but he clearly wasn't barreling much. In games at least. Speaking of barreling, according to Baseball Savant, Miggy Rowe's barrel percentage was 4 in 2025. His hard hit percentage, 31.2. His bat speed, 68.1. And his average exit velo, 87.6. All much closer to poor than even league average. Yet, somehow that guy came up with the biggest home run of the 2025 Dodgers season. So let's break down the at-bat that has made Miguel Rojas an eternal Dodgers hero. On the mound for the Jays was closer Jeff Hoffman, who certainly had his bumps over the course of the 2025 regular season, pitching to a 4.37 ERA and blowing 7 saves along the way. In the postseason, however, Hoffman had largely silenced his doubters, surrendering only 1 run over 11 innings, good for a 0.82 ERA coming into that decisive Game 7 appearance. Hoffman features 4 pitches, a 4-seamer, slider, split finger, and occasional sinker. His fastball velocity had dipped for a good portion of the regular season, causing concern, but his metrics still showed that he had great stuff. However, his Achilles heel in 2025 was surrendering the long ball, as the 15 he gave up during the 2025 campaign was the 2nd highest amongst qualified relievers, with 9 of the long balls coming off of his heater, while his slider proved to be his most effective pitch, holding the opposition to a 125 batting average and generating a 47.4% whiff and 42.3% K rate. With all of that in our back pocket, let's dive into this at-bat. Having just struck out Kike Hernandez swinging on a filthy slider, the only pitch he elected to throw him over the course of the 4-pitch at-bat, Hoffman decided to stick with the slider to open things up against Rojas, throwing an even filthier one off the plate and generating another whiff. In pitch 2, Hoffman threw his slider for a 6th consecutive time, but did so non-competitively, evening the count at 1-1. Hoffman finally went to his fastball for pitch number 3, but Rojas, likely sitting on the slider given the first 6 pitches of the inning, took it low for ball 2. Key to note though, was that Hoffman's heater came in at 96.7 miles per hour, which was right around his average in 2025, but not at the 98 plus he has shown when at his best, or as low as the 94 he featured at some of his weakest points in the season. For pitch 4, Hoffman went to his rarely used sinker and left it in the upper half of the zone, somewhere you generally don't want a sinker to end up, but Rojas let him get away with it by fouling it off to the right. Hoffman then went back to his fastball, clocking in at an even 96 miles an hour and catching a lot of the zone, but Rojas once again fouled it off. For attempted put-away pitch number 2, Jeff went back to his trusty slider, but this time rather than cutting low and away from Miggy, it stayed up as it sailed over the inside part of the plate. Now came the payoff pitch, when I personally believe Hoffman let the Ohtani effect get to him. What I'm referring to is the impact of Shohei Ohtani standing in the on-deck circle during this at-bat. The last thing Jeff would want to do is walk the 9-hole hitter and give arguably the best player on the planet an opportunity to give his team a lead with one swing. To avoid that, Jeff turns once again to his slider, completely ignoring the fact that not only has Rojas seen the pitch 7 times that inning, 4 from the on-deck circle and 3 times from the batter's box, but also is the pitch that Rojas has slugged the best against in 2025, including 3 of his 7 home runs off of them. To top it off, Jeff throws it with the lowest spin rate of the at-bat and on the inside part of the plate, both of which suggest he was concerned about it being a non-competitive ball, and then this happens. To me, this was the biggest at-bat of the game. Yes, Will Smith's solo shot eventually won it, and a handful of defensive plays kept it going, but this is the one that silenced an entire country. And as one of the 40,000 plus in the building that's still processing the heartbreak today, I'm just glad it was a journeyman like Miguel Rojas that stuck the dagger in our heart, and not one of the many Dodgers All-Stars, because the world needs more unlikely heroes. What do you think was the biggest moment of the 2025 World Series? Let me know via the comments, and be sure to both subscribe for plenty more baseball content, and to check out this other video I recently did on whether or not intentional walks are ruining baseball.